Hey everybody, I'm Alikona Bradford and I'm back tonight to give you a new look. Tonight we're going to be doing something that Meagan Good has done on the red carpet, and I chose Carisia because they have a very similar eye shape. Meagan Good has a lot of space between her brow and her lid. So for any of you ladies who have a similar shape, here's some good tips and tricks for you to learn. And even if not, there's still going to be some other contouring things and colors that anybody can use. So hopefully you enjoy. So we changed our angles around and now I am giving you a close-up of Carisia. What we're doing right now is concealing her eye first and foremost. So that way we take out any natural skin tones that she may pull from the product. And I'm using something with a red undertone. A lot of times, for the most part, when I'm working on my darker skin clients, I like to use a red tone to warm up the skin. And then I'll go back over it with something yellow to highlight. And that's just one of my personal favorite things to do. Every artist has their own different technique. And then I'm going to highlight underneath the brow, which we already had a little bit of concealer on her. Now I'm just sharpening it up. I think one of the things that Meagan Good is really notorious for are those brows. They're clean, always clean. And the trick to that is concealer. So again, I mixed a little bit of a yellow with a little bit of a pink. When you press the color, it builds on top of itself, so it allows for more coverage. When you wisp it out, that's blending out. So now I am going over the top of her brow. And the reason I'm doing that is because it just carves out the shape of the brow, gives it a lot of definition. Swoop it down a little bit just because there's a nice roundness to Meagan's brow. And the good thing about concealer is you can actually go over some of the hairs. So if you have it plucked recently, or maybe you just don't want to pluck your brow because you want to keep it nice and full, but you don't want to do this look for just a special occasion, just conceal with your concealer. Alright, so I took a little bit of Studio Fix, set everything, but with a brush so that way it didn't go on super heavy. Note to self, sponges make the product go on a lot heavier than brushes do. That's why I like to use brushes. They're a little bit more natural. So now I'm going to do an eyeshadow base, which is just to keep the color on a little bit more. For Carisia, I'm going to do something that has a little bit of a brown tone to it and a little bit of a pearl tone to it, mixing the two colors together. So it gives me a nice, almost like a light chocolate color, if you will, like a hot cocoa. Because if I do something too white, it's going to cause the eyeshadow on top to turn very chalky looking on her skin, and we don't want that. I'm going to go with a little bit of a orangey shimmer. I'm going to press it just into her crease. And this is a really natural look, but it's also very elegant and very clean. So even though you're going somewhere really special and important, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pile on a lot of makeup. It just means you have to do it with intent. Okay, so I'm using a fluffy bristle brush because it puts less color on the eye. Because again, I'm going for more of a natural type of look with this. Now I'm going to take a brown that's got red undertones in it. I'm going to go right below that. And it's going to blend up into this light shimmer. So it picks up some of the shimmer from what I just laid down. And I'm just spotting it on. As this color starts getting a little bit more intense, what I'll end up doing is laying down my tape, which you may have seen me do in other videos, just to give me a nice line to go off of towards that outer edge. This is so I get a nice clean line. So yeah, just look straight ahead, eyes open. Because eventually what we're going to end up doing is a black liner that wings up. Now I'm going to go in with a color I really enjoy. It's called Brown Script, and you can use it for so many different purposes. Sometimes I'll use it as a buffing shade for my blacks. Other times I'll use it just by itself. It works really nicely. So I'm working along the tape, which again will give you that nice clean angle. Still working with the same brush. These white bristle brushes though, they're one of my favorites to work with. I feel like it moves around the product really, really well. So now I'm going to take something that's a little bit thicker bristle because it holds more color. I'm going to go right into the lower part of her eye, just to give it a little bit more intensity. And you'll notice I'm still tapping the color to get it to build on itself. Again, it just makes it a little bit richer. Going right along her crease, leaving this part light. So now that I've gotten that, I'm going to take a clean brush. I'm going to blend out because with a clean brush, you'll actually take off the excess color. With a dirty brush, it's just going to move the color around and make it a little bit more muddy and start traveling the color upward, which is not what we want. Stippling the color into the center, starting with the lash line, which is is where I want the color concentrated, and then just whatever's left on my brush, tapping it up. Go ahead and open your eyes, Creation. So now I can see exactly where the color is going. And I'm gonna brighten that up, like I said, with the pencil. So I'm going right in here. Just drawing a thin line. Now you can do it first with pencil if you want a very distinct line, or you can do it with just a brush, which is what I'm doing. I'm tapping it so that way the color is going exactly where I want it. And now, after I tap it, I can blend it a bit. It curves around a little bit, and then I'll skinny it up. I can go back and clean. Good artist always knows how to clean. So I'm gonna take off the tape really quickly. So you can see I have my nice clean line. Now I'm gonna go inside with my pencil. And again, I'm using a concealer pencil, which is kind of cool because it's not as white as a white, so it's not going to look as harsh. Go ahead and look up, but it'll still brighten. So we go inside the waterline first, going over a couple of times just to cover the skin. And then from there, going on the outside of the skin. Go ahead and close your eyes. Now I'm going to go inside the little hook that I just drew with my powder. So with this, I can do a little bit of correction, and I can make this brown line a little bit skinnier. And I'll use my pencil to go ahead and buff it out. So I'm using a pencil brush. It's rounded at the tip, and it's really firm, so I have a lot more control over my product. So I'm buffing it out a little bit, going along this line right here, going on the inner part of her eye, getting super close with this brown. And then I'll go over it with the same color I did before, which is the iridescent pinky peach color. So same color I used before, but it shows up less pink and more peach when we go on top of the concealer, or concealer stick, I should say. I'm gonna go over again right here. And then we just lightly press it on top. And all it does is really hold this wet product. It's like it seals it in, so that way it doesn't move around as much. And then I'm gonna go over it one more time on top of the powder, just to brighten it up a little bit. And I'm gonna take it just into the roots of her lashes. So it's gonna be a little bit lower than what you're seeing in the picture, but that's just my own flavor that I like. And then back again with my powder. As you notice, the second time around it sticks just a little bit better. And then going along the line of my little brown line. Just like so. That way I can make this thinner if I choose. I just didn't want the tape under her eye while I was working underneath it. But we'll go right back along where it was. Just right about there. And then use fluid line because it's one of my favorites. So I just follow my tape, gives me that nice angle up, and now I'll take it in. And this is kind of a broken angle. It's not gonna be as smooth, it's gonna be very abrupt. And that's just this particular style of makeup. So if this were myself, I would do my eyeliner with my eyes open, and I would just tilt my head back, like so. Open your eyes, and I'd look at myself, and I'd go along the lash line. Go ahead. I like fluid line because it's a semi-matte, so it's not super, super dry. It doesn't flake off. It goes on really smooth, especially if you're not really good with liquid liner and you don't have a steady hand. Okay, so we took it pretty up. It still curves a little bit, so I'm going to just pull it in here a little. But either way, you can see that my tape gave me a really nice line. I can go back and clean up the little smudge that's on the outside. All right, and then I'm gonna have you look down and outward. What that's doing is stretching her skin so I can get right into the inner corner of her eye. And we're doing just a really skinny, skinny line underneath. Okay, so I got my line, but it is a really soft line. So now that we've got it there, I'm gonna smudge it out just a little bit by taking one of my softer white brushes, because you don't want to take anything too harsh, it'll scratch your eye. And then just softening up the line so it's not as harsh. Right. Then look down, and then I want to clean this line up a little bit. Sometimes it is easier with the eye open. If this is the first time you're ever watching one of my videos, I always do mascara first, so that way it lifts the lash into the false lash. Otherwise, a lot of times what happens is you have a straight lash, which is yours, and then you have a curled lash, which is the false lash. Now you could put the mascara on top of both. Go ahead and look down, but sometimes if you do want to reuse your lashes, it's a bit harder. Or if you get some of the white powder from one of your shadows onto your lash and you put a false lash on top of it, you'll still have that white powder. So I'll take the tip of my brush and just kind of wiggle it. And a lot of times what Meagan Good will do is she'll have little pieces of lash. So what you can do after you get the mascara on is clump them together with your fingers. As weird as that sounds. While that dries, I'm going to fill in her brow just a little bit more using a red undertone brown because she keeps a very auburny colored brow. I'm using a flat bristle brush to fill in the brow just because it's a little bit firmer. It gives me more control over the product and where it's going. You can either do a full brow or a skinny brow if you're doing this look, but you just want to make sure it's very clean and very sharp, which is why we had the concealer laid down already. So I put glue on my lash, just on the rim. We'll wave it around, get it a little bit tacky so that way it doesn't slip and slide as we place it onto her eye. Starting from the outside, letting it stick, and then going all the way inward. Alright, so I threw a little bit of mascara on her. You can kind of see a far away view of what it looks like. You saw the close-up and the far away. I'm going to have you tilt your chin just different angles that you guys can see the makeup. Now I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to fast forward through it really quickly, but at least you get a nice refresher on what we did. And then we'll do some skin. we just finished doing Carisha's makeup. We did that Meagan Good look. Notorious, as always, is her under eye highlight, so we made sure to really accentuate that. I'm hoping you guys learned something tonight. I'm Alikona Bradford. Please subscribe to my channel. I release a new video every Thursday at 8 p.m. You can also tweet me at KissMyPassport or find me on Facebook and Tumblr under Alikona Bradford. Have a great night, and I will see you guys later. Bye.